Sponsored by RxCardClub.com. Get a free prescription drug card and save up to 85% on prescription drugs. RxCardClub.com. Does freezing plastic water bottles cause cancer? There have long been stories circulating on social media claiming that the freezing of water in plastic bottles can increase your cancer risk. On the surface, some of these facts seem pretty convincing. Originally, there seemed to be supporting references from the likes of Johns Hopkins and the American Cancer Society. But if you take a moment to look a little closer, you start to wonder if any of the claims hold water. /r/n/r/n. Interestingly, these claims were later debunked, and these institutions do not support these claims. The original emails were from people who falsely cited their work with credible institutions such as Johns Hopkins. /r/n/r/n. This article takes a deeper look at where these myths started, how they were debunked, and tips for decreasing cancer risk. /r/n/r/Durham, E+, Getty Images /r/n/r/n. In the early 2000s, different versions of emails began circulating in the US warning that the freezing of water in plastic bottles causes a chain reaction that releases a dangerous toxin called dioxin into the water when it thaws. Dioxin is a man-made compound that has been linked to a variety of health problems, including cancer. /r/n/r/n. The stories were based on claims Dr. Edward Fujimoto made on a television show in Honolulu back in 2002. What might have been easily forgotten news was suddenly turned into a media firestorm when a staffer with the American Cancer Society, believing the claim to be valid, began forwarding the report through the organization's social channels. /r/n/r/n. By 2007, an email credited to Johns Hopkins Hospital also began making the rounds, further embedding the myth about the link between dioxin and plastic bottles, though in this case, involving microwaving rather than freezing. This email was also falsely attributed to Johns Hopkins, and they do not support these claims. /r/n/r/n. In response, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, issued a statement denying any claims that substances in plastics can leach into foods. The FDA is the agency that regulates not only the safety of our foods and drugs but also so-called indirect food additives, substances that come into direct contact with food as part of the packaging process. /r/n/r/n. In their statement, the FDA stated that the levels of chemicals that might leach into foods from plastic containers were well within the margin of safety. They further stated that there was no evidence that plastic bottles or packages contain dioxin. /r/n/r/n. Overall, drinking water from plastic bottles is just as safe as any other type of container. However, it's best to clean any container with hot, soapy water before refilling it to decrease the risk of bacteria or fungi growing. /r/n/r/n. Poo is known for its hormone-disrupting effects and is linked to many health issues, including infertility, weight gain, and diabetes. Growing evidence also suggests BPA exposure increases cancer risk. /r/n/r/n. By 2013, the FDA banned the use of BPA in baby bottles, sippy cups, and infant formula packaging. But the FDA still considers the chemical safe to use in other food packaging materials. /r/n/r/n. If you're ever faced with a piece of science that seems either shocking or questionable, give your healthcare provider a call to get a professional opinion. When it comes to making positive changes to better reduce your risk of cancer, there are 7 things you should always aim for. /r/n/r/n. Stories have long been circulating about the risk of freezing water in plastic bottles and increasing the risk of cancer. Over time, claims that were originally deemed credible were eventually debunked. The medical institutions that were supposedly backing these claims denied having anything to do with them. /r/n/r/n. The FDA monitors the substances used to package food. They issued a statement denying any claims that the substances used to make plastics can leach into foods. /r/n/r/n. Medical hoaxes like these are more harmful than you might think. They create the perception that danger exists where there is none, leading people to seek solutions that either waste their time or, worse yet, put them in harm's way. /r/n/r/n If you're worried about your risk of developing cancer, talk with your healthcare provider. They will be able to give you accurate information to help ease your mind. /r/n/r/n Drinking cold water is only bad for you if it triggers existing conditions such as achalasia, a rare disorder making it hard to swallow or drink, or migraines. /r/n/r/n Though there is no evidence that freezing plastic is bad for you, the United States Food and Drug Administration does note that it is best not to cook in non-microwave approved plastics. It is also a good idea to avoid reheating foods in non-microwave approved plastic containers such as margarine or yogurt tubs. /r/n/r/n The plastic used for bottled water is polyethylene terephthalate, PET, which the FDA has deemed safe for food packaging under normal use. In their statement, the FDA stated that the levels of chemicals that might leach into foods from plastic containers were well within the margin of safety. /r/n/r/n The evidence is ongoing regarding the safety of leaving plastic water bottles in extremely hot temperatures, greater than 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit, for long periods of time. It's also important to note that plastics not deemed safe for the microwave, for example, margarine or yogurt tubs, should not be used to warm food. /r/n/r/n rxcardclub.com. Get a free prescription drug card and save up to 80% on prescription drugs.